There are 3 things I hear from homeschool moms over and over again. I don't have enough patience. We just can't afford it. I probably need one of those giant school-in-a-box curriculums, or I'm going to mess this whole thing up. If you've ever thought of one of those things, can I tell you something? I don't think those are your real problems. I think those are fears. And fears have a way of convincing really good moms that they aren't capable of something that God actually may be calling them to do. So today I want to walk through 3 of the biggest homeschooling myths I hear almost every single week here at the Homeschool Hub, because I don't want fear to make that decision for you. Hi, I'm Krissa Tejada, founder of the Homeschool Hub. Every week, I sit down with moms who are carrying the weight of their family's education on their shoulders. Some are just getting started. Some are pulling their kids out of traditional school. Some have already spent hundreds, perhaps thousands of dollars on curriculum that didn't work. Almost every conversation starts the same way. I just don't know if I can do this. If that's where you are today, I hope this video feels like we're sitting across the table from each other having a cup of coffee, because I don't just want to give you more information. I want to give you some peace. So let's start with probably the biggest myth of all. I've discovered that when a mom tells me she isn't patient enough to homeschool, patience usually isn't the real problem. When a mom walks into the store and says, "Krissa, I love my kids, but I just don't think I have the patience to homeschool," the first thing I say is, I hear you, because I remember feeling that way too. And I think it's important that we normalize saying it out loud. You don't have to become some superhuman parent the day you decide to homeschool. You're still human. You're still going to lose your patience sometimes. That isn't failure, that's parenting. But here's what I've learned after homeschooling my own children and walking alongside so many other families. Homeschooling isn't spending 8 hours a day sitting across the table teaching. That's the picture most people have. And honestly, it sounds exhausting. Real homeschooling has rhythm. Some learning is independent, while some learning happens together. Some learning happens outside. Sometimes grandma is teaching baking. Maybe grandpa teaches woodworking. Perhaps your neighbor is a software engineer who loves showing kids how coding works. Maybe your child goes to a hybrid program a couple days a week. Perhaps you outsource one subject because somebody else loves teaching it more than you do. That's still homeschooling. You're not supposed to do every single thing yourself. And I think that's where so many moms begin to breathe again, because suddenly they realize, oh, this doesn't all depend on me. One of my favorite things to tell moms is this: patience is usually a structure problem in disguise. If every day feels rushed, if you're trying to teach every subject, keep the house perfect, run the kids to all their activities, and never take a break, of course you're running out of patience. Anybody would. Sometimes we don't need more patience. We need a better rhythm. We need permission to slow down, to simplify, to build a homeschool that actually fits our family instead of trying to copy somebody else's. And can I encourage you with something that has helped me over the years? Pay attention to your own smoke signals. You know, those moments when you can feel yourself getting overwhelmed? Your voice starts to get louder, your shoulders tighten up, everything feels urgent. That's your signal. Take the break. Go outside, walk barefoot in the grass, read under a tree, watch the birds, go jump in the pool. Nature has a beautiful way of resetting all of us. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to pivot. The lesson can wait. Your relationship can't. There have been plenty of times I've lost my patience with my own kids. I'm not proud of those moments, but I also don't hide them, because those moments become opportunities. I apologize. I ask my children to forgive me. I ask the Lord for grace. And then we keep moving forward together. Do you know what my children learned in those moments? Maybe not math or grammar, but they did learn what humility looks like. They learned what forgiveness looks like. They learned that adults don't have to pretend that they're perfect. That's education too. Honestly, some of the greatest lessons your children will ever learn won't come from a workbook. They'll come from watching how you handle real life, how you respond when you're tired, how you ask forgiveness, how you extend grace. No curriculum can teach that as powerfully as a parent who is willing to model it. So if you've been telling yourself, "I'm just not patient enough," can I gently challenge that? Maybe you're not lacking patience. Maybe you've just been carrying a picture of homeschooling that was never true to begin with. Now, usually after we talk through that myth, the next thing a mom would say is, "Okay, Krissa, maybe I can do it, but we just can't afford it. And if you've ever said those words, I want to talk with you next. One of the biggest lies families believe is that homeschooling is only for people with lots of money. It isn't. When a family tells me we'd homeschool if we could afford it, I never dismiss that because it's a real concern. Sometimes homeschooling does require sacrifice. Sometimes it means changing your work schedule. Sometimes it means saying no to things you used to say yes to. I understand that. But can I tell you something I've learned? Sometimes the work you have to do to undo what happened in a traditional school costs far more than the sacrifice of homeschooling. And that's a conversation we don't have often enough. Parents assume homeschooling begins with spending thousands of dollars on curriculum. It doesn't. It begins with having a plan. One of my favorite things about the homeschool community is that it doesn't function like a competition. Homeschool community functions like a family. Books get passed down, curriculum traded, families share resources. The library becomes one of your favorite places. Co-ops share ideas. Experienced moms are usually the first ones to say, here, borrow this before you spend any money. I absolutely love that. And at the Homeschool Hub, that's one of the reasons we have thousands of new and pre-owned curriculum options on our shelves. Families bring in curriculum that serve them well, and another family gets to begin their journey without paying the full price. Sometimes family even donate their curriculum, and we're able to pass those resources on to parents who truly need them. That is beautiful to me, and that's what I believe community should look like. It reminds me so much of the early church, people seeing a need and stepping in to help carrying someone else's burden. I've also sat across from families who were convinced homeschooling was impossible because of finances. Instead of immediately talking about books, we start talking about life. Could mom possibly work part-time? Could dad adjust his schedule? Could a hybrid program help? Could we find pre-owned curriculum? Or would free online resources or the public library fill some of the gaps? If your state offers educational funding, could that become part of your plan? Little by little, the impossible starts to become possible. Not because their income suddenly changed, but because they finally had a strategy. I tell moms all the time, money cannot be the reason you give up on homeschooling before you've explored every option. If you truly feel called to homeschool your children, don't let finances be the conversation that ends your journey. Let it be the conversation that starts finding creative solutions, because there's almost always another option you haven't considered yet. And honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons the Homeschool Hub exists. We don't just hand you a stack of books and send you on your way. We sit down with you, we listen, we learn about your family, your children, your goals, and your budget. We learn about your season of life, because there isn't just one homeschool plan that works for everyone. There is a homeschool plan that works for your family. And if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, I'd love to help you find that. The biggest curriculum mistake I see isn't buying the wrong curriculum. It's believing there's one perfect curriculum that's right for every child. This one breaks my heart because I completely understand why parents believe it. You love your children. You don't want them to fall behind. You don't want them to miss something important. So naturally, the giant school-in-a-box curriculum looks safe. It promises everything, every subject, lesson, answer. It feels like if you buy that box, you can finally relax, but that almost never happens. Instead, parents come into the store carrying guilt. Sometimes they've spent thousands of dollars. They've been trying to force themselves through a curriculum that simply doesn't fit their child or their family. Sometimes they tell me, Krista, we can't keep up. My child hates school now. I feel like I'm failing. And do you know what I usually tell them? You're probably not failing. You're probably trying to fit your family into someone else's box. There isn't a publisher in the world that knows your child better than you do. No curriculum company knows your family rhythm. No curriculum company knows your child's personality. No curriculum company knows your values, your schedule, your strengths, or the areas where your child might struggle. That's why I don't believe homeschooling should be one size fits all. I always compare it to going to your favorite restaurant. Why do you love that restaurant? Probably because they let you make it your own. Maybe you add something. Maybe you leave something off. Maybe you get to substitute one side for another. The point is, you get to customize it. That's what makes it your favorite. I think curriculum should work the same way. Instead of buying one giant box because somebody on YouTube loved it, or because your neighbor used it, or because someone on Facebook said it was the best, let's build something that actually fits your child. Maybe we pick this math. Maybe we pick a publisher that has a better language arts program. Perhaps your whole family can enjoy history together. And science is hands-on instead of a workbook. Now you're building something that's personal. And that's what we do every single day at the Homeschool Hub. We help families build what I like to call their own personalized school in a box. Not because one publisher had every answer, but because we pulled together the best resources for your child. And can I tell you what usually happens? The atmosphere in the home completely changes. The pressure begins to disappear. Mom isn't trying to check every box anymore. She's paying attention to her child, and the child starts enjoying learning again. Conversations start to replace arguments, curiosity replaces anxiety, and peace starts coming back into the home. I've had moms hug me with tears in their eyes because they finally realized I wasn't a bad homeschool mom. I just had the wrong plan. That gets me every single time because I know what it feels like to carry that weight. And I also know what it feels like when that weight finally lifts. That's why I love what we do. Not because we sell curriculum, because we get to watch families find peace again. So if you remember nothing else from today's video, remember these 3 things. You don't have to be the world's most patient mom. You need a homeschool rhythm that works for your family. You don't need a huge budget. You need a thoughtful plan. And you don't need the perfect curriculum. You need the right curriculum for your family. Homeschooling has never been about perfection. It's always been about faithfully stewarding the children God has entrusted to you. You're going to have amazing days. You're going to have difficult days. You're going to learn right alongside your children. And that's okay because your children don't need a perfect teacher. They need you, the parent who loves them, knows them, prays for them, shows up every day, and trusts that the Lord will continue equipping you for what He's called you to do. I truly believe that. If this video encouraged you, I want you to watch the first Mythbusters video next, where we talk about the 3 more fears that keep so many parents from homeschooling, including the myth that you have to be a certified teacher and the fear that your child will fall behind. I think it will encourage you just as much as this one. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and you simply want someone to help you build a plan that's right for your family, we'd love to help. Remember, you don't have to do this alone. I'll see you in the next video.